Welcome to the channel. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Now in today's video I will be doing the full review on the Boderry automatic dress watch. You guys saw the unboxing a few days ago. Now the watch does launch 5th of August, so I have been kind of pressed against time in order to get this review out so you guys can make your mind up fully before you do decide to go ahead and maybe purchase the watch. Now the watch was sent in for free by Boderry. You can see on the top left it says paid promotion, but as you'll see in the review that this has no impact on the way the reviews are delivered, and I've had this for a few days and you will get my full and honest opinion on the watch. So starting off, as this was the first Boderry, I did take some time on unboxing and looked at the packaging. The packaging for me is a thumbs up. It's very well done. It does add a bit of value to the watch. So packaging's good. Let's put that away and let's focus on the watch in hand. Now, in usual fashion, I'll go through the specifications and the dimensions. We'll talk a little bit about the dial, the case, the crystal, etc., the leather strap, and we'll go through the actual movement as well. And I'll leave the price till the end in order for me to summarize on this watch properly. So let's go ahead, let's look at the specifications. Now the watch, as you can see, it is made out of 316L stainless steel. It does have a flat sapphire crystal. It also uses a hands out 5000A micro-rotor movement. We'll cover the movement a little bit later on through the video. And you also have 50 meters of water resistance. Now for the dimensions, you do have 40mm case. Thickness is 9.7mm. Lug to lug is around 46mm. You do have a lug width of 20 meters. You do have a lug width of 20mm. And the watch has an overall weight of 80 grams. Now, dimensions for a dress watch, I think they're absolutely spot on. The two key areas where it does really stand out for me is the thickness, 10mm, perfect in an automatic movement, and on top of that the lug to lug is really nice, 46mm, so it should have no issue fitting on wrists around 6.5 inches above. Now let's go ahead, look at the dial. Now the dial is a sunburst green dial, you know, with the 40mm diameter. You do have a lot of dial area that you can see, and that green is really lovely to look at. Now you also have a combination of gilt on that green dial, so you've got applied Arabics all the way around the dial in that gold. And you also have a dotted minute tracker around the dial. Now the dots on top of the Arabics are just slightly bigger than the ones in between. Now you also have some printing on the dial. You do have Boderry's logo at the top, just below the 12 o'clock, and you've got Boderry in white plain text. You also have automatic above the 6. Now around the 7 p.m. location, you do have that seconds sub dial, and you do have a gold flat hand around that second sub dial. Now the sub dial is ever so slightly subset, very subtly, and you do have these leaf style gilt hands, and you only have the hour and the minute hand, and of course the seconds hand is here right in the bottom corner. Now the crystal used, flat sapphire crystal, perfect, great visibility, and it's going to be very scratch resistant. Case, 316L stainless steel, fully polished. That includes the bezel, the case, and it's worth mentioning the polishing on the case is really nicely done. You do have some really nice curves along the lugs, and overall just a classy dress watch style of case. And as mentioned, the watch does come on a leather croc style strap. Now I have seen plenty of straps. This I can tell you it's not the cheapest of the cheap, although this croc pattern admittedly does look kind of cheap, but you know, in hand it's actually a very decent quality. As you can see, the strap is slightly padded, and you know, it is quite supple as well. Now from 20mm at the lug end, the strap does taper down to 18mm. At the crown, you do have quite a small crown, and it's got the Boderry logo. But one thing to note on the crown, it is kind of small. It's quite difficult to actually hand wind the movement. Now on top of that, it is again fiddly for you to pop out and set the time. So the movement's functionality, you do have a date window at 3 o'clock, and as mentioned, you have a seconds sub dial at 7 o'clock. So let's open the crown slightly, and what you'll notice there is the date change is a very positive and mechanical sound, which I kind of do like. So when we pull the crown out to the B position, you'll notice the second hand does not hack, because this movement only offers hand winding and non-hacking, and then that allows you to set the time. Now, when you turn this around, you will in fact see, I think the most significant thing about this watch is the actual use of the Hanzhou 5000A Micro-Rotor movement. Now, these movements, there's not too many of them around, but slowly more micro brands are using them. Now, the beauty with China is this, these movements, if they were in a European brand, I'd say they would cost you half an arm, easily half a leg. But, with this Chinese market, it allows us to see just such a variety of movements. And China does have some of the world's biggest movement producers like Seagull, Hanzhou, etc. Now, due to this, we're able to experience, these really different and, generally high quality movements at a fraction of the price if they were put into these European and Western brands. And so just have a closer look at this movement. It is a 30 joule movement. It's a high beat movement, 28,800 vibrations per hour, giving you a sweep of 8 ticks a second. Now, the bonus with having a small second subdial is that sweep looks even smoother just due to the smaller seconds hand. As you can just have a closer look there. Indeed, a very smooth sweep. Now, the watch has a 42-hour power reserve when fully wound, and the accuracy is rated at around -10 to +20 seconds. In the bottom left, I can show you the watch on the time grapher. Now, on the time grapher, I put it through 4 different positions, and the watch ran at +9 seconds, dial up, crown up, it ran at around +10 seconds, dial down +4 seconds, and crown up at +2 seconds, giving you an overall average of +6 seconds a day. Now, one thing to note about the movement is it does have great stability. The beat error stayed around the 0 to 0.3, which is really good. Amplitude was fine and healthy. So, just going by the time grapher, bearing in mind this is a brand new watch as well, it hasn't really been given the chance to fully wear in. I think that's perfectly reasonable, very good, +6 seconds a day. You can't complain. Now, having said that, I think this movement is the only thing that the watch has going for it. Looking at it initially, it does seem to tick the right boxes. You do have this beautiful combination of green, gilt, and a dark brown leather strap. Somebody commented that it reminded them of a Seiko Alpinist. Of course, they use the similar colors, but I think that's where it stops. So initially, after I did put the watch on wrist, now the longer I stayed at it, the more flaws I saw, and I'd like to put up a quite a harsh comment from a subscriber, but I think that really sums it up in a nutshell, being as blunt as I could be. Subscribers done it for me, so have a look at that comment, and I think that does sum it all up in a nutshell, really. The watch here, it does, after you get over the initial unboxing and the initial first impression, it does look quite cheap. There's no depth on the dial, there's no little features and details, and these are the things I look out for. There's thousands of watches on AliExpress, and for me as a watch reviewer, those are the things that do stand out for me. Now, another key point to mention when looking at this watch, this is not the only type of watch like this on AliExpress or from China. We do have a brand called Solas from Ireland, which have used the same movement, which is a really nice looking watch, a really cracking dial on there. But moving this a bit closer, and the immediate competition for this watch would be Lobinni with their Micro-Rotor movement. I'll put up a picture and you can just see for yourself. The design is almost identical, just with a different brand name. So, but the Lobinni's design is a lot better. There's a lot more detail going in. For example, looking at the leaf hands, you've got skeletonized leaf hands on the Lobinni, which adds a touch of elegance, because you want to make the watch really elegant. You really got to put those small details in there. Also, the seconds hand is slightly tapered. You do have a bit more of a leaf shape to the seconds hand. Now, on top of that, I think the watch overall on the Lobinni just looks a lot better. Boderry have, I don't know where, Boderry have kind of cheaped out on the dial aesthetics. When you look a little bit closer, that printed text, it should have been maybe stylized slightly, or I would have preferred just the logo applied in gilt. And also with the Arabics, probably go for hour markers, Dauphine style hour markers, polished, chamfered, really trying to get that light to play with the dial. Also, the minute track, not a huge fan as well. They could have gone with just markers, lines, anything different. They haven't done anything too different away from the Lobinni, and that is priced at around £140, which is, I'd say, around $190 to perhaps $200. So it's not far off the asking price for the Boderry. They do have a few different color options. I'll put up a picture just quickly. Now it may be that the watch will probably look better in a different color option, but I think the green dial here really does expose the flaws in the dial of the watch. After all, a dress watch, that is the main key feature. You know, a movement will only take you so far as a USP, but you know, this is what you're going to be looking at every day. Now there is another, I'd call it a QC issue or an oversight from Boderry, and that is at the 3 o'clock date window. If we just take a look a little bit closer, and if I turn the watch slightly, you will see just the edge of the actual date disc. Just have a look there. Now that is visible on wrist. You won't see it all the time, but you know it's there after the first time you do see it. Now I know why they've done that. It's just due to the text. So when it does get to sort of 30, the writing, they do need a bit more space. But having said that, I think there's enough space on the edge of the 30 for the date window to be just a little bit smaller and not allow you to see that slight little gap that you will see. Definitely off-putting when looking at a dress watch. Now let's move over to pricing. I did want to clarify something in the unboxing, and Boderry did reach out. They got quick response time. So the price is $199, which is the launch price or the early bird price. Now that equates to approximately £145, which on the face of it, you know, okay, it's not too bad, but I said it's the same price as the Lobinni, and I think for that price you definitely go for the Lobinni any day of the week. But I think the shocking thing was that after launch or after the early bird special, the price goes up to $399. So nearly £300, £280. Never in my life would I pay that much, and I wouldn't advise anybody to pay this much as well for this watch. They need to do a lot more work. As I said, own the design, make it your own. A lot more effort does need to go onto the dial just to make it really stand out and be a very gorgeous and stunning dress watch. Because I have a few, you know, I'm a diver watch kind of guy, but I do have a few, so I know what to look for. I know what really makes a dress watch stand out. And you know, looking a lot closer at it, this doesn't stand out as much, unfortunately. So for me, this is a no. Now, irrespective of the fact that they sent this watch out for free, you know, I'm trying not to totally trash on them because, as I said, the movement is brilliant and the execution of the case is spot on. It's just the dial they are lacking, and the price is, you know, the final price or the RRP is just ridiculous for what they have given us. They can do so much better, because looking at the website, you do have a few titanium sports watches that they have done, which I think, looking at other people's reviews of them, they are really good, and they do have a lot of ladies watches as well. So those guys looking to buy watches for your partners, go ahead, check them out for that, which again look really good. But this new watch, this launch, perhaps they rushed it or they haven't spent enough money on the R&D. But yeah, that's my overall opinion. Can be so much better. Bags of potential, great movement, you know, good quality around the case, but the dial is lacking. So I'll let you guys make your mind up after that review, and I'll leave some wrist shots of the watch, and I will also link the website in the description so you can go check out the store. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.